Welcome once again to Dialogue on Public Issues. I'm John Chowning with Campbellsville University. Today I'm very pleased to be interviewing one of our new high school principals, Weston Jones, with Campbellsville High School. Ms. Jones, welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm originally from Campbellsville. As we were talking earlier, I've received my undergrad from Campbellsville University, so you guys helped me get my start in education. I also received my master's from Campbellsville University in special education, and I've been with the Campbellsville Independent School District for the last 10 years. Started out as a physical education teacher, and then transitioned last year to an assistant principal at the elementary school, and then have recently had the opportunity to become principal at Campbellsville High School. So looking forward to the opportunity and excited about it. So.
You graduated from Taylor County High School?
I did.
So you've gone from being a Cardinal to an Eagle.
I have.
Was that a hard transition?
It all started with my student teaching placement.
Okay.
Out of leaving Campbellsville University, I was actually placed at Campbellsville Independent School District and fell in love with it. Fell in love with the people, fell in love with the students, and ever since then I've been there and enjoyed every minute of it.
Absolutely. So. What prompted your interest in, let me ask you first, what prompted you to become a teacher? And then I'd like to, what prompted your interest in actually becoming an administrator and a principal?
Becoming a teacher, I would have to say some of the influences that I've had throughout the years, great teachers that I've had in the past. I've had some great teachers that have shaped me and helped mold me as a person. And, I decided, probably the end of my high school career, when I do go to college, I want to get in the field of education. And then the same thing with a principal. Working at Campbellsville Independent School District, we've been blessed with some great administrators. I've had the opportunity to work under some great administrators, and that has kind of opened my eyes and made me start thinking, and I thought, maybe that's a road that I want to go down. So that's something that through prayer and a lot of thought, I eventually chose to go in the field of administration, and I'm glad I've chosen that. So.
Yeah. What do you see as the role of a principal?
I just think they've got to be a leader. They've got to be the face of the school. They got to be in today's time, a person that can wear many different hats, but a person that has good morals, has character, a person that's built on integrity, and then a person that's just got the best interest of every kid at heart. So.
You interact a lot, I would assume, with those high school age young people.
And I've had the advantage of being in the district, like I said, for 10 years. So the high schoolers now I've had coming through the middle school. So I'm familiar with the majority of the kids that walk down the halls of the high school. So that is an advantage.
The enrollment is about what at this point?
A little over 300 at the high school. So enrollment's good. And again, being a small district, I feel like that's an advantage where you got that relationship, that student to teacher ratio is great, and we build our hat on.
You probably know most every student in the school.
I know every student in the school by name, and a lot of places can't say that.
That's true. Right. That's true. Now, some highlights about what's going on this year. The 2018-2019 year is underway, still early in the year, but what are some of the highlights?
Well, we're off to a great school year. We are, like I said, enrollment's a little over 300. Our students and staff have, I feel like, welcomed me with open arms, and that's been a huge positive. That's been encouraging. Being a new principal, you've got change is always hard, and I know, but I know the students. So we're off to a great year. Extracurriculars are off to a strong start. Our sports teams are in full swing, and academically, that's one of the things that I was most shocked about. At 8:30 on day one, we were instructing kids, and the doors were closed, and we were starting to get after it in the classroom. So,
how many faculty and staff approximately would you have?
We roughly have we'll roughly have 15 or so certified staff, possibly in our building maybe 30 staff as a whole, maybe a few more with some support staff. But again, it's a small staff, but. We pride ourselves on those relationships. So.
Well, 15 faculty and 300 students, that's a pretty good ratio.
It's roughly 14 to 15 to 1 student to teacher ratio or faculty to student ratio.
That's a good number.
Absolutely.
Very good number. Now, school safety and security, obviously, a point of major concern all over the country. And right here in Taylor County, Campbellsville, certainly. What steps are you taking this year, maybe that are above and beyond what's been done in the past, and what will you be doing on an ongoing basis to, as best you can, assure the safety and security of your students as well as faculty and staff?
And Campbellsville Independent as a district wants to be proactive on our security measures and our, ultimately the safety of our students and staff. And unfortunately, the day and the time that we live in, it's kind of some unfortunate circumstances. But we have already we started to get together as a district last year and look at some of those measures that we could begin to take. One would be we had a parent and student forum. We invited any community member, any parent, any student that wanted to come and talk, ask questions, give ideas, and we could kind of bounce those ideas back and forth. And we had an open forum that went really well. Mr. Smith led that, as well as Mr. Pettit and some of the building administrators. So that's one thing. We received tons of positive feedback from that. We feel that anytime that we can invite the community in and hear what they need to say or hear what they want to see as far as the protection of their children, that's huge. And we've also added a school resource officer this year, which is a measure that everybody in the district's raved about, and I know that parents are happy about that as well. So,
is that in cooperation with the police department?
Yes, that's
city
in cooperation
police?
with the city police, and then also too we meet regularly in administration meetings, and we have went into further detail as far as our drills, our lockdown drills. We've started to do some research and put that into action as far as the best practices on our drills and just keeping our kids safe. Things that you probably wouldn't have thought about 10 years ago, but now, you better think about
I compare it, and I won't tell how long I've been out of high school, quite a while. But, it was just kind of open door. People went and, students would go and come, not as they pleased, but it was a different, much more laid back.
Yes.
And than it can be in today's culture.
Yes, absolutely. And, those little things, they can add up to big things. So that's something that we just try to pay attention to every little detail and be diligent about that. And, we've met as a staff, our staffs at the elementary, middle, and high school all know what we expect. As building administrators, we've kind of laid that plan out for them.
I would presume if a parent has a question or concern, they can feel free to call you.
Feel free to call me. Absolutely. Feel free to
or
call
have an idea
email
or something.
Yeah, just come in and we'll be glad to talk. So,
given that question, how can and one, what is the importance of parental involvement in the education process, and two, ways and means of parents being more involved or guardians or whatever?
Absolutely, and that's huge. And I feel that goes back to that saying, it takes a village, and it really does. Parental involvement is huge. Community involvement, it's not just teachers and students. It's more. Everybody has to be on the same page, and that's another thing. We encourage our parents to be involved, and that goes back to that relationship building. We want to see them at extracurriculars. We want them to ask questions, and it is huge for having parental involvement within a school, and that only can foster success. So,
one thing I noticed in local press this summer, I'm not absolutely certain the high school did it, but one thing I noticed that at least some of the teachers and principals in the city school district were doing was walking down neighborhood streets, going to meet parents, visiting. Did you all do that?
Yes, we did. We took a day and we had a community event to kick off school. We called it Party in the Park. Opened up, we used Miller Park as a resource and invited everybody within the Campbellsville Independent School District, parents, students, staff. We cooked out for them. Again, that's just getting them in there, and we want to see them, and we want them to be able to put a name with their face and know who's educating their child and build those relationships. So we did. We walked from house to house. We took bus loads of staff around and reached out, and it was a huge success. We had well over 1,000 people there at Party in the Park. So
I was very impressed with that, and didn't know the details. Obviously, wasn't involved in it, but just from a distance.
We had games set up for the kids, and they enjoyed that. We had games, and like I said, we had some giveaways for the parents, and again, it was just kind of a night of getting to interact with the parents and the students, and the staff cooked and fed them, and we ate good and had a good time.
That's bound to have impressed and pleased parents and grandparents and family members in the school district.
We had a lot of
to know that.
Yeah, we had a lot of compliments, and I know a lot of them come and express their being grateful about it, being excited about the year, and it was just a great way to kick off the school year and get the kids excited and back in the swing of things. So
we hear a lot about innovation, and I'm sure that at Campbellsville High School you're engaging in innovation. Tell us about that and some ways you're doing that, approaching it.
And I'll tell you, and I use this all the time. High school is not. It's changed so much, and it's continuing to change. And not just high school, but school in general.
Right.
It's no longer you sit in a desk and you get lectured 7 periods of the day. It's no longer that. So with the innovations, there are so many different pathways that kids can get on, and that's exciting. We're not just preparing them to get through high school, but we're preparing them to be, contributing citizens outside of high school, and we have tons of opportunities. One thing that we're really excited about, we just actually met last week with a company called Big Picture out of New Jersey, and we're getting ready to really look at ways that we can strengthen our internships and reaching out to those community members and getting some of our kids out in the community and building those internships and those partnerships. So kids, if you know that, hey, I want to be a veterinarian, why not go on and get those juniors and seniors the experience, hands-on experience in the veterinarian field, and they can decide, this is for me, or this isn't for me. So, and high school is trending that way. But we're excited about the big picture. It's something that is new, and it's outside the box thinking. But hopefully, we'll be one of the first to jump on that and utilize that. And we've already began the process. We've began the process of it and reached out to some community members, and we've had great feedback so far. So,
good.
So something we're excited about.
So and that really brings me to my next question, and that is this concept of students selecting career paths and entering into an academic program, as well as, in this case, real world experience internships. Going out in the workplace and getting a taste of what it means to be a veterinarian or a teacher or whatever. How's that working, and what if a student changes his or her career path while they're in high school? Can that work?
Yes, it can. And again, at the forefront of every decision that we make at the high school, and not only at the high school, but every decision that we make at Campbellsville Independent School District, we stop and we want the student's best interests at the forefront of every decision. So the career pathway has been a huge success. The kids love it, and that goes back being, having a small district. We're able to sit down as the kids are entering high school and every year of their high school career and sit down with the individual kids and look at their schedule. And what does that look like for them? And it's different for every kid. So again, that's something that they've really enjoyed, And if they change their mind, say for instance that they want to go a vocational route, and they for instance, we're partnered with Greene County, the ATC, Greene County, and the vocational school. Say they begin and they think that they want to do welding, and they're a year or two in, and they say, it's not for me. I've changed my mind, which we've all been there and done that.
We have been.
We'll sit down with them and say, okay, we'll come up with a different plan. So it's not a big deal. It's not something that that we're going to frown upon. We're there to help them, and if they change their mind, that's fine. They've eliminated that. So we look at that as a possible success. You've eliminated, and that that's not something that you want to do. So let's see where we want to go in the future.
Sure.
So, but yeah, we're excited about it.
You're participating, and you touched on this, but Campbellsville City's independent schools, Taylor County Independent Schools, Greene County ATC, Campbellsville University, all partnered and received a $2+ million grant that's actually being administered by the Taylor County Schools to build the Central Kentucky Career Academy.
Right.
Tell us about that project. I know Campbellsville is a participating partner in that project.
We are. And every resource there that you mentioned, Campbellsville, Taylor County Green, Campbellsville University, it's kind of it's a working. They each bring their own working part to that, and that's something we're excited about. Right now, we're still kind of in the halted stage, I guess you could say, as far as construction and getting that facility ready. I've heard a couple different dates, and hopefully that will be up and running. The latest date I've heard is maybe even as late or early, I guess you could say, as we would like to have kids in there by Christmas. So, and I know that's something that our students are excited about, and that offers anything from computer science to phlebotomy, dental hygienist, nursing, aviation. So there's a ton of things out there that we're excited to get rolled out and see how our kids can fit in. And again, it's something that they're excited about and looking forward to.
Again, this is part of that emphasis on career preparation.
Right.
Not necessarily everybody going to college, although anybody that wants to should be able to have that right and that opportunity. But traditional liberal arts college is not for everyone. And who would have thought Campbellsville University 20 years ago, when a couple of us launched the Technology Training Center, we got a few raised eyebrows on campus of a Technology Training Center. You're going to do what? And that's phlebotomy, CNA, and all and different programs. And we're actually going to be doing welding. Campbellsville University's Tech Center will be doing welding for adults,
that's
students. And this is not just for high school students.
Right.
This will be open at night to adults and to local industries for training.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, so that's a part of the overall program, and it's an exciting thing. It's one of those contributing things to the future growth of the community, that we have an adequately trained workforce.
And that goes back to, there's so many different avenues. Yes, of course, you want, if a kid wants to go to college,
Absolutely.
you want them to give them all the tools
Absolutely.
that they need to be successful in college. But there's a lot of kids that say, I'm not interested in that. That's not something that I'm really interested in. I'm interested in this technical degree, or I'm interested in this. And so, we've kind of broadened our horizons is what we're trying to do, and kind of open our mind and think outside the box and say, a 4-year degree is not for everybody. And so why are we trying to push 4 years degrees on everybody? If they're not wanting to go that route, why are we trying to, do that for them? So again, it's something that in time I feel like is going to just continue to get better and better and better.
And one of our goals for years here at the university was to help create, Dr. Carter and I, the president, have sat and talked many times in early evening hours of a desire. We can't, everybody and every student coming out of Taylor County and Campbellsville doesn't need, we would like to have them all, but they all don't need to come to Campbellsville or go to Lindsey Wilson or Western or wherever. There are those whose options need to be more than just working at McDonald's. Nothing wrong with that, but that shouldn't be a permanent career path for most of our students coming out. And no offense to McDonald's or any minimum wage entry level kind of job. We want, many of these will pay well. Many of these alternate career paths and technical paths pay very well.
I know in the past, and me being new at the high school, but I've heard, former administrators talk about kids walking out of the high school with a great paying job in the technical field out of, being involved in the Greene County Vocational School and learning a trade such as welding or something like that. And they walk out of, as soon as they get that diploma in May, they start and they're making, good money.
So this Career Center, Central Kentucky Career Center, I think is going to become a major asset to the community in the region and to both local school districts, the university, Greene County schools, and to the business and industry of the region.
It's something that the community can be excited about too, because students that come through that are only going to be more and more and more prepared as far as becoming better workers, giving those soft skills, and just have a jump start on getting out in the community and making a difference. So.
And I think for the public that may be watching or listening, I would point out that Taylor County and Greene and Campbellsville may be rivals out on the playing field or the basketball arena, but there are a lot of cooperative partnership programs going on.
Yes.
In terms of the two school districts working together and then partnering with the university and other institutions as well.
Yes, I would agree. And ultimately, we just want what's best for the kids, and we're all trying to just strengthen our community, and that's partnering and doing some of those things are definitely going to help us.
You've alluded to this, and we talked a little bit about it coming on the air. I mentioned the fact that I'm from Cumberland County originally, and the high school there is comparable size, maybe a little smaller now than Campbellsville High School. But the Campbellsville Independent Schools is smaller, probably the smallest district in this immediate area as far as total enrollment, and that maybe some would say limits things. But today, there's other alternatives. If there's something, what do you do to mitigate that or to overcome those limits? There's positives to being small, obviously,
again, it
but
goes
other
back,
things.
Right. In a small, again, I feel like that gives us opportunities that other districts may not have. That being a small district, roughly 1,100 total enrollment, is not a limitation in my opinion. Again, that's more student teacher relationship as far as that's more one-on-one attention that a student's receiving. Again, I would probably be willing to say that the majority of our teachers know every kid by name over there. And not only that, but we're offering a variety of AP classes. That's something that we pride ourselves on. I know we're up to 12 now, 12 AP classes, and then dual credit classes partnered with you guys. We're offering dual credit in geometry and some of those things. So, and then 12 AP courses where kids have an opportunity to get that rigor. And between rigor and relationship, we feel like that's an ultimate key to success. And academic rigor, we're going to challenge those kids. We still believe in the integrity of a degree. Sure. And the kids know that they're going to work for it, but at the same time, they've got teachers that are going to nurture them. They're going to pat them on the back, and they're also going to want to see them succeed not only as a student but as a person. Right. And whether that be coming to a game or an extracurricular activity, and just supporting them and cheering them. That's again, that goes back to that small, close-knit family atmosphere.
I was impressed, and I picked up the local paper, I think it was, and saw the large number of Governor scholars from Campbellsville High School this year. Yes. I don't 5 or 6.
Don't quote me again, but I know it was at least 5.
Yeah, so, and that's pretty impressive.
That is impressive
for a school of 300.
And well represented up there. I mean, sent some kids up there that enjoyed it and that really represented our high school.
I mean, typically a school that size would have 1 or 2.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Right.
So that speaks again well for what's going on at Campbellsville High School. And I would assume if there's an academic area where you may not have an on-site class or teacher or enough to make a class, a student can do an online class or an AP course or a combination thereof.
Yeah, some virtual type classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that goes back to, we have some things that we got put in place that gives us some options. So again, it's not, it can be tailored to the individual student. So that's something we're proud of.
Do you think, are we trending more toward looking at the individual attainment of the student, each student as an individual, reaching his or her potential, versus looking at the entire school district, and not that we don't want accountability, we do, of course, but I hope I'm making sense with my question in the context of looking at that student and what he or she can fulfill and attain, rather than just, well, my school's better than your school, because my scores are higher than your scores.
And I feel like, to answer your question, if this makes sense, we've got a little bit of both, and I feel that's good. Whereas, years ago, it was we compare each other school-wide by test scores, like you were talking about, standardized testing. Right. Now we kind of, you're looking towards individual students, but you still have that. You still have that tested. Those tested areas that you're looking at. The ACT, is tracked, and that's something that's huge. But again, that's tied into individual students. That's tied in getting them on a pathway that's going to best suit them. So I would say that both are still available and
Sure.
still being
And both
used,
are part of
but
the-
probably trending more
Yeah,
towards
bo-
the individual
Both
student.
are needed.
Both are needed, absolutely.
But like you said, I can remember the day, literally, you pick up a copy of the Herald Leader or Courier Journal, and you would rush to find the rankings of the school districts.
And every student took
Yeah.
the same course,
Yeah.
every course was
Everything
the
was
same.
identical, and we ranked 39th, and they only ranked 59th,
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
And that's a certain amount of that, but I think we went too far here in Kentucky in the name of education reform. Try to overcome the image of Kentucky being backward and overcoming our
Yes.
educational attainment issues. We maybe went to standardized testing too much. And it seems to be swinging a little bit more
The
back to the
opposite.
medium point.
Right.
You have to have some of that, but ultimately it's that individual kid and his or her attainment.
And we're big believers in we want to do well. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
We want to do
Sure.
well on every standardized or state
Absolutely.
test. But again, there's more to a child's education than a test score.
And there are those kids who do not test well for whatever reasons, combination of reasons. We could, books have been written on that subject
Right.
way over my head. But facts are facts. Some test extraordinarily well, some don't. I mean, I've got 4 kids, and they all were all over the map in
Right.
terms of testing, but all good students.
Absolutely. And
So-
there's more to a kid than a test score. So.
In closing, any plans for the future that we haven't discussed?
I believe we've touched on the majority of it. Again, we're looking to continue down this career pathway. Continue. We're excited about the big picture and what we've got going on with that. And again, we're just wanting to continue to build on the tradition and the excellence that have already has already been established.
Right.
We have been a very successful and highly ranked, I guess you could say, high school the last 4 years
Right.
academically, and we want to continue that tradition and make sure that everybody that walks through the door at Campbellsville High School is valued and they're taken care of, and they've got the best opportunity to
Weston,
receive an
thank you
education.
so much.
Thank
we
you.
wish you God's richest blessings and
Appreciate you
hope
having
you
us.
have a great year at Campbellsville High School.
Thank you so much.
This is John Chowning with Campbellsville High School Principal Weston Jones, thanking you for being with us for Dialogue on Public Issues.